You are listening to The Fortress. Welcome to another edition of The Fortress. This week, we're going to be discussing the topic of suffering. Now, it's easy to relate the topic of suffering to darkness in this world. I mean, everybody, when they reflect back on their lives and the times where they suffered the most, or when they thought of other people who suffered, typically it's a dark time. It's dark memories. And this show is all about revealing light in the darkness. So, first of all, how can we see light in a time of suffering? Well, you look to God. You look to Jesus. Now, does that mean whenever somebody is suffering, you just need to tell them, well, God, it's in God's hands. Don't worry about it. No, that's probably the last thing they want to hear at the time. But what if you can already develop a mindset to understand and even accept suffering as part of life? I don't believe God did anything by accident. And the Bible kind of backs me up on that. But if you think about nature for a second. Even the evolutionists have their whole take on things by, survival of the fittest. How do you think the animals in the animal kingdom who are the fittest survive? How? Well, because there is some suffering involved. They experience things along the way. As far as getting bigger, stronger, faster, they're going to have some failures. Look at lions when they hunt. They fail time and time again. But then, hey, they learn from mistakes and they adapt, they adjust, and then they make the kill. But that's a form of suffering. What about people? What in the world is wrong with some of our young people today? It's not just the young people. It's like a whole generational grouping of different ages that for some reason have this illusion that life is supposed to go just as you planned all along without any hiccups along the way. That's not reality. So first of all, you're automatically setting somebody up for failure and just a downtrodden idea of life if you're teaching them that. So suffering actually makes us stronger. I'm sorry, but I'm not going to try to bring up my kid and let him think, well, don't worry, everything will go exactly as you planned. No, that's not how life works. That's not how the real world works. What you have to do is when you have failures and when you have struggles and when you have pain and when you have suffering, you improve yourself. You get through it. You become resilient. And life keeps going. I actually even talk about this in some of the self-defense classes I teach. It would be easy if you were a victim of some kind of assault, and it would be easy to just kind of crawl into a little shell and not come out. But if you happen to suffer pain, some agony, some humiliation from some kind of attack, and yet you still make it through on the other side, especially physically capable and able to function, all that stuff again, if you never recover mentally, if you never tell yourself, you know what, I'm going to go face the world, I'm going to go back out there, that's not a way to live. So I tell people in the self-defense classes, look, you've got to be resilient. If something like this happens, but you make it through it, don't be afraid to go back out there. And that's why I encourage them to take some of my classes or some kind of training to prepare themselves, to better prepare themselves to take care of themselves because of the darkness that's out there. See, suffering is something that we just have to accept as part of life, but we become better from it. And then people are like, well, what about, Jason, what about all those people that suffer in tragedies and disasters? Thousands of people died in the great tsunamis or Hurricane Katrina. And yes, those are tragic. Very tragic. And I'm not saying we should never suffer. We won't suffer because of the loss of loved ones. I'm not saying that. But who's really the one suffering? Once they are lost to this world, well, if they are believers, there's no more pain and no more sorrow. So how is that a bad thing for them? Now, if they are non-believers, and if they heard the word of God and refused it anyway, well, I'm sorry, but we know what happens to them. And that's a tragedy too. So, I mean, I know this is a complicated subject. It's not just something I can just teach you overnight. I can teach you anyway. The Bible has more about it than I do. I recommend just reading for yourself. But you can see it. You don't even have to see it directly spelled out for you. If you just apply your thinking, if you think about it and the logic behind it. Suffering exists for a reason. I want my son to learn from mistakes. And I want him to learn from bad things that might happen. And learn to overcome. How do you think the military carves out these soldiers and these men and women that are just hardened to the core? But yet, man, they can make it through anything. Granted, they do get some high expectations placed on them. But talk about results. All right, so just think about those words for a little while. Think about suffering. As far as finding hope in that suffering, finding light in the darkness, we're going to talk to a friend of mine named David. David Odom. I knew him back when I was a personal trainer in Traveler's Rest, and actually when I was a wellness director for a YMCA. So I got to work out with David occasionally, got to play some flag football. That even comes up in our interview. Most of you guys know out there that this is a pre-recorded show. So I can tell you kind of some of the things to expect in the interview. But David is going to enlighten us. We're going to see a side of life that shows both darkness and light. And you'll see more, you'll find out more from his words, not mine. All right, so when we come back after this break, you'll get to meet my friend David.
The name's Brady. Robert Brady. Yeah, I know what you're thinking. You're thinking this guy's insane. Just because you've read some of my thoughts and what's going on in my head, because I couldn't seem to handle it when my wife and daughter got executed. Well, I don't want you to believe everything you hear. But just put yourself in my position for a second. You know, I've got all this training. I've got all this good government-funded, taxpayers-funded training that turned me into a hardened killer. What would you expect me to do when ISIS comes in and kidnaps and then executes my wife and daughter? Huh? What would you do? You know, I'm sick of it. I'm tired of the media coming down on me, calling me this Jesus assassin. Heck, God pretty much told me what I needed to do to these folks. America better wake up. They really don't know what's coming. You want to find out more about me? This guy Jason Fort, he seemed to have the nerve to write about my little escapades. Just find out more. www.jason-e-fort.com. Look up my story. You'll see me right on the cover. Misguided. The Jesus Assassin. You'll find out everything you want to know. Just visit that website. In the meantime, I got things to do.
What's going on, everybody? Welcome back to another edition of The Fortress. I have a special guest today. I didn't give a whole lot of heads up on who I'd have this week because I wanted it to kind of be a surprise. But this is my good friend David Odom. He and I go way back to my days as a personal trainer back in Travelers Rest. And I was a wellness director at the YMCA back then. That was, 2007 to 2010, I believe. But anyway, David, welcome to the show.
Thank you. Appreciate it.
First of all, I didn't want to tell the audience too much about you because I wanted to let you kind of have the floor for that. So why don't you start out? Just tell a little bit about yourself.
Okay. Well, my name is David, and I was employed in the Army when I got out of high school, briefly. Had a good time. Obviously, I wasn't involved in any kind of combat. So that's why it was a good time.
Gotcha.
I got out. I was an MP in the Army, and I got out to do that. And so I did that. I got a job at the Pendleton Police Department when I got out, while I was on terminal leave from the Army. And it was a good time at Pendleton, but because I was already an MP, I only had to go to the academy for 3 weeks. That was for legals and driving. So I missed a lot of good stuff that I probably should have got. But anyway, I continued on. I worked at Pendleton, and then I got an offer at Travelers Rest, which back then it was so much more money, and it was worth the commute from the West Pelzer area where I reside to go up there, and it was a lot more money, really.
Wow.
Yeah. So went up there, and I bought a house in Easley near the new high school, and just so happened I was down at the hospital with a friend of mine having a baby, and the very next room there was a game warden. His wife was having a baby, and anyway, we met in the hall, and we were both in uniform. We got to talking, and he asked how come I've never applied at Ease, and I told him I have. I just never got a call back. So he said, "Well, I just left, and I know the interim chief pretty good, so I'll call him if you're interested." And he calls you back, just you know what to do. And so he called back about 3 days later. Mm-hmm. For an interview. So I went through the interview, which ended up being a formality, and they hired me at Easley. So I had my house in Easley. I worked in Easley at the police department, and everything was good. I worked on the traffic team in Easley, and it really burned me out. I was running 7, 8, 9 wrecks every day, and you know how that can be.
Well, I don't, because I don't like the road, so I didn't do traffic.
Well, that's good. So, but it did. It burned me out, and so I started looking to go somewhere else. Mm-hmm. I got hired back in Travelers Rest, and an incident in TR actually got me one night. We had a brand new reserve program where anyone that wanted to go to a class and be a reserve officer. Of course, they don't get paid for that, but that's back when it was just one person in the city.
Wow.
And so that was a benefit for us and the city because they were free.
Right.
Well, the first night, we had one on Friday, we got into a big chase all through northern Greenville County and ended up losing them. But the second night, the Saturday, we had a call out next to Sunriff Adventures for a burglar. It was at Sunriff for a burglar alarm.
Ah, yes.
So
Alarms.
yeah, so we go to that, and Jeffrey Smith is the reserve officer who used to be a lieutenant at the fire department. So we go, we clear the alarm, everything is good, and we notice what I thought was a man across the street at the laundromat waving us over. So I told Jeffrey, I said, I'm going to get you into something tonight. We're going to go over and see what's wrong with him and why he wants us. So we go across the street and we drive over there and ends up being a lady. And so I was up there trying to smell for alcohol or anything like that.
Mm-hmm.
And Jeffrey had went to the other side of the car like he's supposed to. He was looking in the windows. And that night I had some sinus problems and I couldn't smell good. So I motioned for Jeff to come over here, and he walked around in front of me, and I kept talking to the lady, do you need me? Do you need us? What did you call us over here for? And we noticed a big guy on the payphone outside the laundromat. So I asked her, I said, is that man at the payphone bothering you? She didn't say anything, and then I asked Jeffrey, can you smell anything? Because, I wanted to take her to jail because
She was acting so goofy.
She wasn't acting right.
Mm-hmm.
So anyway, I said, well, man, we're going to leave if you don't need us. And then she said, and she pulled a gun up and pointed at Jeffrey. And I got him away from the car, and he ran behind the tree there. And I run back behind my car, behind the trunk. And, of course, I would ask her to drop, or tell her to drop the gun. And then she'd point at me, and then Jeffrey would yell, drop the gun, and she'd point at him. And we went back and forth for a while. And, of course, we called the county for assistance. And I noticed a bunch of kids had been on a bicycle trip with Sunriff. They were pulling into Sunriff.
At the same time that this is
Same
going on.
time, Saturday evening, same time it's going on. And I noticed the laundromat had people in it. And but once we started saying drop the gun, the guy on the payphone, he was over at a hardware store next door before the phone stopped swinging. He was gone.
Yeah, I bet.
But she got out of the car and started walking. Well, not walking. She took 2 or 3 steps towards me, so I had to shoot her. I shot her twice. She fell back into the car, and then the county finally showed up to help.
Wow.
Um,
See, I didn't know that whole story. I knew you had been involved in some kind of shooting, but I didn't know what it was all about.
That's right. And of course, you know how they put you on administrative duty for a little while, and, and of course they took my gun out there that night, and I sat there in the car at the intersection of Center and Main forever while forensics were doing all their
doing their thing.
Yeah.
And they turn this lamp on for us. There we go.
And they took gunshot residue off my hands, and of course they had did the same with Jeffrey to see if one of us actually fired the shots.
Yep.
And that whole incident affected me a little bit. I mean, it really. I mean, I know
it would affect anybody.
I agree. So it's hard to understand some of these guys coming back from war who killed 7, 8, 9 people. That's how they can do it. But to be the last one to talk to her, and to hear her grunt when she got shot, that's always there.
Yeah,
and I can't shake it.
I don't blame you at all. See, I mean, that's what this show is about. What I do this for is to show people that, you can't hide from the darkness. The darkness is out there. But after we go to a break, when we come back, we're going to pick into David's life a little bit more, and he's going to actually tell you where he gets a lot of the hope that he has found in his life. And I can tell you that just from getting to know him personally and from what I remember just spending time with him in Travelers Rest and stuff. So after a little break, we'll come back and we'll dive a little deeper.
Hello there. I'm here to talk to you about, well, it's actually the fourth novel Jason Fort's written. You know, he hadn't really done much promotion for it because it's been doing alright on its own, but the story is called Tracking Game. If you want to read one of his novels that sends a whole bunch of people in different directions, looking for this and looking for that, and end up, you know, those storylines coming together in like an ultimate collision of events, well then what I recommend is going to www.jason-e-fort. And once you look that up, well, oh yeah, there's a .com in there, isn't there? Once you look that up, look up Tracking Game. It's the first book in his new series, The Hunters. He's steadily working on the next book in the series, but in the meantime, you can find out all about what John Knox and Malik are doing. You can find out about Nassim and some crazy little guy called the Major. You can even find out all about the Maronite Christian Order. So, go take a look, will you? Look him up on the website. Order Tracking Game now, before his next book comes out.
All right, welcome back. As the sun's going down on us while we do this interview, had our little break, so we're back talking to David Odom once again. David, first of all, thanks so much for being so candid and sharing that experience. I mean, that is a true testament to how dark of a time we live in, and how, I mean, evil is around us, and sometimes we can even take part in it without even meaning to. And even though you were in the right and justified in that incident, did not a part of you feel dark?
Absolutely.
I mean, because I know I would feel like that's one thing I would probably struggle with. And, I mean, yeah, I'm a police officer, and heaven forbid I ever have to shoot someone, but these are the kinds of things for the audience out there that your police officers and your first responders, there's a good chance of them running into this at some point. So for those of you out there who run into these people on a regular basis, make sure you let them know you're thinking about them and that they're in your prayers. David, speaking of, you're a police officer, but then you're a firefighter.
Yeah. Because of that incident,
okay,
I wanted to do something that would help people. And obviously, police officers normally are going into something bad.
Yeah.
And fire department they do too, but normally they're there to help.
Right.
Someone's not going to jail. Someone's not getting shot. You're not breaking up a family. You're trying to help them.
Right.
So it worked out that Richard Johnson at the fire department called me up and said, "You interested in the job?" And I said, "Well, absolutely, I do." And he sent me to all the classes while I was still at the police department. And so I started doing that. Started doing that for maybe a year and a half, 2 years.
Mm-hmm.
And then I got bored because I was used to being on the road.
Yeah.
And fire department, of course, you sit around waiting on calls. After your daily duties are done, after your training and any kind of physical fitness, you're done. Except that time we come up to the Y and play flag football, and that was a good time.
Yeah, that was fun. That was really fun.
Except for that one fellow that played in boots, and anyway, that ruined it for everybody.
I remember. Because somebody had a knee injury. Was it you?
No. That was Jordan, but Kevin Mitchell was the one that hurt his foot. Towards meniscus. That was the meniscus. That's right.
And that ended all of our fun in flag football for the adults.
Yes. So anyway, I was bored there, and they opened up the building official job, which I just go around and inspect buildings from the ground up, the footings, everything. And I still work for the fire chiefs in my retirement. It said the same.
Okay.
And but I worked out of City Hall. and had my own vehicle, and I could do my own thing. So I was able to get out and move around. I did put in for it, and I got it, and
Good.
that worked out.
Awesome. Awesome. Well, just relating to, I'm going to change gears, go away from the professional side of things for a little bit, because my monologue that you haven't seen yet, you'll get to see this a little later, but it has to do with suffering. And so, I noticed you wore a very appropriate shirt. Can you tell the audience what kind of suffering maybe have you experienced yourself? And how did you find light at the end of that time?
Well, at a class in Panama City Beach in 2012, I started having all kind of weird side effects on the left side of my body. I would, my whole left side would go numb. I'd get off the elevator and would almost fall.
Wow.
I'd have migraines, but they wasn't the same kind of migraines I've always had them. But these were a little different. They didn't hurt as bad, but anyway, they were bad enough. So I went across the street to the Walgreens. Hopefully they could tell me it was high blood pressure or something to take my mind off of it.
Mm-hmm.
Well, she said your blood pressure looks good, maybe dehydrated. So I drank a bunch of water. And January the 1st, I went down to my parents' house in West Pelzer and watched South Carolina beat Michigan in the Outback Bowl.
Okay.
And of course, me and Dad was fussing about something, which we always, do. We did. And I went back to the house in Traveler's Rest, where I lived in a studio apartment. I got to hurting, and I said, I'm gonna go to the hospital with Greenville. Maybe they can get me back there and tell me I have diabetes, which is bad enough. I don't, or something. Give me some answers, because not knowing was the worst part. So I go in there, and they take me right back. They take me back to the CAT scan area. They do a CAT scan, and I hear the nurse call the doctor back there, and I hear them talking. And then the nurse asked me if I use my cell phone a lot. And I said, no, I text, but I'll never, use a cell phone a lot. And I wasn't putting anything together.
Right.
Nothing wasn't adding up to me. So they take me back to the room, and they start the IV and run fluids. And the nurse comes in and has a big syringe of something, and I asked her what it was. She said it was Decadron, and it's to keep swelling down. And I asked her, I said, what's swelling? And then before she could tell me, she hit me with it. And that's when the doctor come in and said, there's something on the CAT scan showing up on your brain. We can't really tell what it is. So we can send you down to Memorial by Mobile Care, which is an ambulance service in Greenville. And they took me down to the ER. And actually, they took me right up to the room. And of course, they kept me pain-free for a while. And I met Dr. Gardner. He was the one that done the surgery. And did an MRI there, and it showed a big mass in my brain. It was pushing on the midline of the brain, which causes pain and all kind of issues, which was also causing the swelling, because apparently if something's up there, the body tries to surround it with fluid.
Right.
And that was causing swelling. There was nowhere to get it, which was causing the pain. And then on the 4th of January of 2013, I had my first surgery to resect as much as they could. And they got most of it, but they left, I think they might have got 97, 98% of it.
Mm-hmm.
But they had a little bit left down in the, too far down in the brain they couldn't get,
right,
which was too risky to even try to get. And of course, they tested it right there unofficially, and it come back as an astrocytoma glioma, which is a grade 3 brain tumor.
Wow. Now, how did you make it through that? I mean, what was that's another dark time for you.
Absolutely.
So where was your hope in that?
Well, I've always been a Christian and not always lived. I've got away for a while, but this was definitely a wake-up call to get back into the Bible. There's people all over the world that is wanting a Bible, and we have them everywhere. Even on our phones we have them. So there's no excuse for not be reading the Bible. There was a deputy in the county, Greenville, who invited me to his church at Mount Pisgah Baptist, which is not far from here, really. It's in the Wren community.
Yep.
And out of obligation, I went the first time because he asked me to go. And I haven't stopped going since. And I got into a good Sunday school class, a good small group, and prayer and knowing that Jesus is there no matter what you're going through has helped me from even the shooting, both brain surgeries, all the radiation, chemo, and all that. Knowing He's there and He's going to be with me, and He feels the thing.
So piggybacking off of that, and again, thank you so much for sharing that. Guys, this is why I picked him as a guest. I had a feeling he'd be able to share something that would kind of floor some people out there. But piggybacking off of that, if you met somebody today who just found out that they had some debilitating disease or degenerative, it gets worse in nature, that kind of thing, what is something you would suggest to them to find hope in that dark time?
Just never give up and continue to stand on your faith. Have a good support system around you. My parents were there every step of the way, and of course the guys at the fire department before I had to retire on disability, they were there every step of the way and still are today.
That's awesome.
And just know that God is with you. He's not allowing stuff to happen. It's just He's patiently waiting to allow everybody a chance to come to know Him. And there's going to be a day that I'm not going to have any kind of pain, any kind of worries, no more tears. It's all going to be gone. And that's what I can look forward to. And that's what gives me the hope and joy that I have today.
Awesome. All right. Well, I'm going to end on a light note. All right, because we've already just you answering just a couple of questions because of the experiences you've had. I think that's plenty for people to get to know some of the light that you found in the darkness. But just to kind of change gears and end on a little lighter note. How would you like to be a character in a novel? And if you could be a character in a book, what would you want that character to be like?
Compassionate.
Okay.
Loyal. Just an all-around good person, I would hope.
All right. Any kind of profession you would want him to have in a story?
Missionary.
A mission. Okay. That I can work. I can actually do this, guys. We're going to have a David Odom in a book. Watch this. So, hey, y'all, watch this. Now, hold my beer. No. That's been a big thing on Facebook. But anyway, well, David, thank you so much for coming out, man. This was enjoyable. I enjoyed getting to know a little more about you. I just knew bits and pieces of all that, guys. So I hope y'all enjoyed that. And take his advice to heart. Jesus is the hope. He's the light in the darkness that I'm always trying to point to. So with that, we'll go to a break, and we'll have a few closing words after that.
You there, with the fishhook in the bill of your hat. What is your name? Hey, me? Well, heck, my name's Bob. What's your name? Oh, my name is Vladimir. So pleased to meet you. I couldn't help but notice you have some kind of book holding in your lap. What is that book? It looks very familiar to me. Oh, this is a book from that new author, Jason Fort. Jason E. Fort's his name. And I tell you what, man, this guy, he writes about assassins and lawlessness and martial law and all sorts of crazy stuff and all sorts of action. Yet somehow he finds a way to talk about Jesus. You believe that? Yes, I am familiar with this Jason. Yes, Jason does write about Jesus. He writes about God. He writes about good messages. But you have to read between the lines. You have to get past all of the Russian mobsters and the assassins and the radical Islamic terrorists and all of those fun things. But yes, you are right. I found an easy way to find out more about his books. Oh, yeah. Yeah, I know what you're talking about. You're talking about his website. Yep, all you people out there in Dove Creek, Colorado, in Canada, and anywhere else out there, you just go to www.jason-e-fort.com. You can learn everything you want to know, and you won't believe this. But the very first book, now he's written 5 of them, 5 novels. If you want to check him out, very first book is free digital download. His ebook is free, y'all. You go check him out. Vladimir, hey, you want to borrow this book? I think that is the one I do not have yet. Yes, I will take it if you are done. All right, guys, that's it. That's it for me and Vladimir. I hope you guys have a good day. Welcome back one last time, everybody. Told you guys we'd be back for just some closing words. So I thought those closing words could be a quick prayer as it relates to suffering. And that includes suffering for all of us believers. So I'm going to close with a word of prayer. Heavenly Father, thank you so much for giving me the opportunity to broadcast out there in KDOV land, to talk to people over radio waves, to talk to people through electronic signals on the internet. I just want to thank you, Lord, for the ability that you give all of us to talk about you. And help me and others continue to keep shining light in the darkness that we've kind of let come upon us by us going against your word. I just pray, Lord, that you help us make a difference in this world and do it all to glorify your name. Amen. Thank you guys for listening to my show tonight. Thank y'all for joining in. If you get a chance, you can always go to Google, YouTube, anywhere you want on the internet. If you just look up and search Jason Fort, you can find access to my works, to my blog, and you can actually catch up on old videos on YouTube or some of the older broadcasts of my radio show right here on KDOV. Until then, guys, this is The Fortress signing off.